Welcome, world. You are now listening to Concrete and Blossom Podcast, where we create change through conversation. I'm your creator and host, Dawn the Doll, and today has a guest host favorite, best-selling author Miss Janice Owens. In episode 13, Writer's Block, we plant so many seeds. This writer has no blocks, and she shares a space with us on a Friday evening. Let's get into it. Dawn the Doll delivers.
So, when I was in New York, I grew up. It was kind of like when I left SAC.
We got 14 plays on our episode. Sorry.
Oh, good. Okay, good. So when I left SAC, I had about $40 in my pocket, 2 suitcases, and a pillow. And my guidance counselor at the time was like, I'll pick you up from the airport. I didn't know nobody. My mom wasn't able to go with me to New York to get me settled in to my college dorm. So I literally was thrown to the sharks. And I got some scars to prove it. Right. But it made me who I am today. And it's a lot of things. It's kind of like I have the Cali vibe, but the New York state of mind and the New York hustle, because how I move is just different. It's just a whole different type of, but I'm so chill, so it's a good balance. I do music, so when I was in New York, I was able to connect with a lot of people, a lot of creatives, a lot of producers that I still keep in contact with to this day. We still are connected, that they're doing great things, and it's just cool to see the evolution. But again, I was running, so I was nearing my 30s, and I was telling my age, but I was nearing my 30s, and I was like, I just need a change of pace, because New York is just boom, 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 boom. I mean, I was in my 20s, I didn't have no kids, I was partying, I was with the, big people, and just doing my thing, right? And I was like, I just want like a more quieter life, and I kind of, at that point, gave up on my musical endeavors because I felt like it was just too much competition. And again, I was nearing my 30s, and I was like,
That competition
Competition.
You out every time, because that's really just comparison.
It's just comparison. And then my thing is, I'm a songwriter, really, truly, at the heart. And at the time, I was signed to a subsidiary under Universal Music Group, but they wouldn't place my songs. So I was getting tired of the whole industry, how everything was being played out.
What's that like? What are some of the excuses those type of industries give as to why whenever they sign an artist? Because they obviously see something in you if they sign you, right? They aren't picking up people and throwing any type of money at them or studio time or anything that they don't see something in. So what are like some of the excuses that you hear whenever you got a hit song or you put a lot into a song and you think it's gonna play, or even if it doesn't play, you still want it to get out? What's that like?
A lot of it, okay, the thing with labels is that they're looking for a certain type of sound. So I'll get thrown beats and I'll write from my heart. Like, I'll write whatever's on my mind and it will sound great, but it'll be pushed back. Oh, we want you to sound more sexy. We want the sexier lyrics, and we want more heartbreak. I'm like, I'm not heartbroken. I'm not trying to talk about sex. So it was very discouraging, and it put a damper on the creative process because I always had to change it up, and it just didn't work out. Thankfully, I'm out of that contract now because I wasn't able to do a lot of things. So, but I was tired of the whole game, and I was like, man, initially I was going to move back home to Cali, but a friend lives out here. Friend of mine lives out here. She was like, just come to Dallas. It's a lot of opportunity. And I was like, okay. So I packed up my stuff and I just bounced.
Okay. So you backed up your shit and you came to Dallas. In the time of being in Dallas, somewhere we have our young king. What's his name?
Cameron.
Okay. So Cameron got here. Okay. How old is Cameron?
He's 3.
Cameron is 3, okay. Oh, he's a little guy.
He's tiny.
Yeah.
He's cool. He's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's that like being a mother of a black boy right now?
Ooh.
Especially because you're a best-selling author of Coco Brown, which is about you, the little black girl. So what's it like now having your own little black human, you know, with the current climate?
You know, when I was pregnant, I was terrified to bring a child in this world because at the time, I believe it was like right after Trayvon, and I think somebody else had it was Eric Garner. And I was like, I am tired of this. I mean, clearly we're tired, you know.
Right.
But back then it was like really hyped up because it just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, this has been happening for so long, but you know, we were kind of reeling off the Trayvon thing, and then it just kept happening. And so when I got pregnant, I was like, oh my God, you know, how am I going to do this? And, you know, yeah, his father, my son's father is in his life. He's active. We're no longer together, but we both know and we understand what kind of element we're living in right now. So we try to instill things in him, even at this young age, you know, but it's terrifying. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like 10 years from now. And even, like, it's a terrifying situation.
Even 10 months right now.
Yeah.
Everything going on.
Because they're not holding no prisoners. They killing men, children, and women.
Right.
So all I can do really is just pray over my son and just trust that God has him protected and do my part as a parent.
Yeah.
You know?
What's that look like? Because I'm not a parent, right? So I have, thank God for Concrete and Blossom, you know, I have a lot of strong opinions on what parenting maybe should look like. And I understand, and I say very respectfully, you know, I definitely understand that there's no rule book. You can't raise every child the same, even in the same household. There's no handbook of rules. There's no certain set of morals that, you know, anyone is given up front and say, this is what you teach your child. It's all based on different things as far as spirituality, religion, your family dynamics, your background, your culture, all those things, right? But what does doing your part as a parent in today's world, what does that mean? Can you even begin to scratch that surface?
You know,
what does it mean?
A year ago, I thought I was kind of like in the swing of it. I was like, yeah, you know, take him to school. I had a routine. I already had it mapped out in my head as far as the basics. But he was so little at the time, so it was kind of easy. Now with COVID and everything, now ain't no routine, because even me, I can speak for many parents. I'm in a crossroads right now because I know he needs to be around other children, and he needs to have that exposure to, you know, different personalities and things like that to help him in his individual growth. But it's that stigma of, you know, you're going to bring home something and dealing with this and the sickness. And so I decided to keep him home.
A lot of parents are. Just myself as an educator, I was on a call team to reach out to parents just to see what their decision would be. And we had, you know, well over 60-70% saying that they would keep their kid at home, which, as difficult as it is, that's the wiser decision, because first and foremost, the education system is broken.
It is.
Like, what are we actually teaching these children while they go to school and get this interaction and all that anyway? You know, that's a whole nother topic that we can, you know, hop on. And I would love to invite other educators to join that call with me. You know, talk about the good and the bad, because there are some good things. There are some basics that I think that we should be teaching, but there's also a lot of riffraff and a lot of basics that we teach that go unutilized. And I think that, you know, just the education system in itself needs a reform. And I think that that's why the universe and God and, you know, just depending on whoever wants to receive that message of a higher power being in control, I think that's part of the reason why we're not able to go directly back into the schools just because someone higher up says this is what you need to do to keep some money flowing and keep these kids on a schedule so we can get these parents back to work. We're being called to the carpet on our basics as humans, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think it's definitely a wise decision to keep your kid at home, at least just through 2020, because if you think about it, we haven't even had 60 days consecutively of everything being shut down, quarantine. You know, to even see what those type of numbers would look like with decreasing or anything. We had a good stint of about 3 weeks, maybe a month that we were supposed to, and then we went right back to percentages in places and stuff. So I think it's a big call to the carpet of the education system right now, as you know, along with everything else. I think that this is a time for these districts to really rethink, and I'm talking about down to the basics of the curriculum that we're instilling in our kids. Because like I don't want honestly, like I don't have kids, but I don't want my kid in the social studies class that they got right now. Like, you know what I mean?
And you're what they're learning.
Right, and I'm a teacher, and I'm an African-American teacher. So you see what I'm saying? Like, even just back to that, the current climate of our nation, there's so many things on so many levels that we really need to be actually focusing on. You know? The Amish community, they do just fine, to be quite honest with you, and they do not go to public schools. They homeschool, they make their clothes, they make their
I wish we was like that.
You know, and that's the thing, is that I think that we can be like that. The Hispanic nation and the Latin nation.
But we have a lot of work.
We have a lot of work. Absolutely.
And we're traumatized as a whole generation of people, generation after generation. The PTSD is real. And
I absolutely agree with that, just because I experienced PTSD, I'm sorry. I experienced that in other areas of my life as well. So I absolutely know that it's real. I think that for none of us living, especially the millennials, to use that as our
excuse.
Right, and I'm trying to be careful and not call it that, because for some people it absolutely is. And not to say at any given time that any of us as young people have experienced the racism and the systematic racism and the years of it, right? Not to say that isn't still causing it, but I don't think that any of us, I would say 40 and younger, can truly use that particularly as our basis of still behaving in certain ways, for not taking our education more serious. And when I say education, I don't mean what they teaching in the schools. While we don't take finding resources more seriously, while we don't take the resources that are at hand for us already more seriously. You know what I mean? So I do agree that we absolutely have been oppressed for many years, and I absolutely agree that as a whole, the Black community is facing a very severe form of PTSD, simply because our backs are being put against the wall, that it's a detriment for things not to change and for people to change.
Right.
You know?
Right. I do believe, though, we as people, we are dealing with traumas, generational traumas and things like that. But I feel like there's too many resources. There's too many things we could look up on our phone. We're on our phone all day anyway. You could Google and really, it don't take much. If you just look up little stuff, your eyes could be opened. If we really realize who we were, we will be a force. We're already a force. It's just we just haven't tapped into our power yet.
Right.
But that's our responsibility individually. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the thing is I don't know why I keep bringing this up, but I think because it was such a powerful word when it first became a fad and a trend word. And I think like everything else, it died down, but I think it could have so much valuable meaning to be woke. is such an internal process that doesn't have anything to do with anybody else or any outside circumstances or influences. It's based solely on yourself, right? And I think that if we as a people started to get to the true core of ourselves, and I don't mean as a collective, right? Because it's not on me to find out what Janice likes to eat and then what her schedule for shitting is, right? Like, that's not on me, and vice versa. But when it comes to me, and for you, when it comes to you, it is our responsibility for me to understand, you know, if I know this is about to make me shit, I might not want to eat that meal right now. And I mean that as far as that circumstance, if that's going to hinder my growth, if it's going to put me in a position to where I am then negatively affecting someone else. Because if I'm walking in my true purpose and I'm walking in alignment with being woke within myself and what I'm supposed to be doing, it will never negatively affect the next person.
Right.
Because my no doesn't negatively affect you. It moves me out the way for your yes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even if it's not always just what you think it should be, it still is a conscious effort. It's a constant state of consciousness that people don't have. It's very easy to be in chill mode, especially whenever the major if you got your priorities somewhat straight and those are checked off, the big ones, it's real easy to go into a chill mode.
It just got affected me personally.
Right. Exactly. And so, but yeah, if people start using that resource, it really just this thing called Google. Those thoughts that people get in their head, like when they see something or if they pass by something or when they hear something or whatever, just looking it up and then finding something that when they look it up, they never want to stop reading about it. When they find a podcast, they never want to stop listening to the next thing that they're going to be talking about it. Just like for guys in ESPN and sports and everything. Now, can everybody make a living off being a sports podcaster? It might not be everybody's lane. But there's somewhere in that lane that you can probably fit in and create your own space to where you can turn some passion into profit. You know?
That's good. Come on.
I don't know why people just don't like find out what they like for themselves. Right, tap in.
So people are trying to put on this facade for everybody else. And it's like your life is passing you by because you're trying to impress people.
You're trying to impress people that don't even know you exist.
And don't care about you.
Don't
it's
care
for a like, you know. Or, oh, okay, I see you with it. You know, they're not thinking about you like that. Like,
not like that.
You.
And the thing is I think a lot of times people don't realize, like, when you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing, like, the network that you're supposed to have will come to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even have to go and try to search and look for it. Like, heavy duty, like, to where it's out of moderation is what I mean. Like, for instance, when I started the podcast, one of the first things I did when I created the Instagram for it was I went and looked up the hashtags that I wanted to put on mine to try to see what other hashtag Black podcast, hashtag Black voices, hashtag iPodcast, just whatever, Apple Podcast, Spotify.
Yes.
You know, finally speaking or whatever it was, you know, like, let's talk about it. All these different hashtags. I went and searched those hashtags. I found a few that I listened to a couple of their clips because you got to be talking about something. I had to unfollow a couple of like the sports podcasts because that's just not my lane. I really don't listen to it. When I do listen to it, I don't even hear them talking about relevant things that are happening in the sports industry particularly, and that's where I found my disconnect. You know what I mean? Because I think I don't want to have a whole bunch of people that follow me, but then I don't get 2 likes. Because that means they, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't want to follow a bunch of people that I'm probably not going to like engage with and engage in their post and go through and like them. Like, I'm not liking something that y'all talking about from 20 years ago in the sports highlight recap. Probably not right now, not in 2020. I'm not. So
I understand. Yeah, absolutely. that's important. Find what you. It's not rocket science.
It's not.
It's really not.
It's like
some people are just comfortable where they are, and a lot of it has to do with fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's what held me back. I wrote Coco Brown in 30 minutes.
Mm. Wow. And look at it now.
But it took me 3 years to release it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So, but I didn't know who I was. I had this book that now is like
amazing.
There's so much opportunity with it. But it's like when it was in my belly and in my notepad, I was like, okay, well,
I got a book.
That was easy. But, you know, I had to make a decision. I'm like, you know what? This is something that could potentially reach everybody, reach a lot of people, change people's lives. It's my story.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make a decision. Do I want to hold it in and be held accountable? Because our story, not particularly Coco Brown, but each and everybody's story, each and every person's story could change somebody's life. Mm-hmm. It could save somebody's life, change somebody's perspective, give somebody a new way of thinking, a new pair of eyes to see things, new ears to hear things. All you need is just to hear somebody's story, that one story, you know? So I've said, okay, I have a responsibility here. I don't believe that this gift was in me. Rather, it was being a songwriter, rather it was being an author, a singer, you know, a person of influence. It just wasn't given to me for no reason. Mm-hmm. So I had to release that thing. And at the time when I wrote Coco Brown, I was pregnant. And I knew it wasn't about me anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I have to leave something behind for my seed. If you don't mind me sharing a little bit of my story around my pregnancy, I suffered a lot. I was in a domestic violence situation. Mm-hmm. You know, I went from being this overly confident chick, have my stuff together, to completely broken and bruised and lost. Mm-hmm. I lost myself. So it was a distraction that kept me bound, and I really had to make some serious choices. Right. And I knew my life depended on it and my son's life depended on it. Mm-hmm. So once I made that decision to put myself first and put my son first, then I said, okay, let me hone down on this gift and let the world know, you know, my story. And what better way to start is in childhood, mm-hmm. because I've been through so much as just in life, period. But a lot of us are not healed mm-hmm. from our inner child, our childhood traumas, mm-hmm. things we've been through. Some of our stories are crazy. Mm-hmm. Children, like, mm-hmm. and even now, the Save Our Children hashtag, like, the pedophilia, people could relate to a lot of these stories. Right. Mm-hmm. Especially in the Black community. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's just, once I woke up and was like, okay, I have to put this fear away. There's people waiting on me. That's when I got serious. Mm-hmm. Now, when I look at my son, I'm like, hey, I got something else. If God mm-hmm. forbid something else happened to me, you have my story. You got something tangible mm-hmm. that you can say, my mommy wrote this. My mommy did this.
This is my mom.
This is my mom. Mm-hmm. So it's once people get over the fear and the ego of it all mm-hmm. and really think about what they want to do and how, because once you find what your passion is, whether you realize it or not, you're going to inspire somebody else because you're so in your own zone and your glow and you making it happen. And it's not for show. It's not for, oh, look at me. It's just, you're just passionate about mm-hmm. it. So that illuminates and people, what's she doing? She's serious. And that's when you just tap in.
That's tap in. Tap in, right? Like that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story mm-hmm. with us. And I think it's really amazing that first and foremost, like you recognized that even before, because you mentioned when you moved to New York, like you didn't end up moving the first time out of fear and everything, and you stayed there. So I think a lot of times people have an issue saying that it's fear, especially in the Black community. It's like we have a problem talking about our childhood traumas. We don't want to bring them up.
Whatever stays in this house, whatever goes on in this house stays in this house,
right? Or, we don't want to talk about the childhood traumas. Even if we talk about the childhood traumas, the next steps there always seems to be discord when it comes to the next steps. Boundaries, I think, in the Black community is something that we really lack, especially within the household. I mean, I know I grew up in a household with no boundaries for the most part. There were very lenient boundaries when there were, and there's so many habits and so many things that I'm trying to break from that type of living. Now, it was great, while I was going through it, absolutely, it felt amazing, right? But now as an adult, like even just in how I interact with like my own mom, and we're best friends, it's still sometimes I have to catch myself, just because there weren't those boundaries growing up, so I think boundaries, and then I think I think a lot of times in the Black community, whenever we do bring that stuff up, I think that instead of people wanting to relate to it, and instead of just assuming positive, like just assume positive. I don't have to know you. I don't have to know what you've been through. I don't have to know your story, vice versa. Mm-hmm. But just assume positive, because why would you assume negative? Mm-hmm. That's my thing. Mm-hmm. If somebody gives you a piece of advice, even if you never take it, even if you feel like that doesn't make sense for you, whatever, it's like, it's not that serious where you have to assume negative and internalize it and now base this person's whole character, based on that. Now, granted, people are who they are, and you can tell when someone, you can tell when someone is throwing rocks from glass house. You can tell. Right. But genuinely, like your close network of people, and then people that would at the least just have your best interests at heart. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just assume positive from those people. Mm-hmm. But I think the fact that we can't even begin to scratch those types of conversations because of the, I guess, just high emotions, for lack of a better word. Yeah, the defense that's just automatically there all the time.
Can't tell you nothing.
Nothing. But you know what? That takes me back to, I always hear in Black households, oh, she grown. Oh, she's so cute now. Walk in, it's a 2-year-old. And oh my goodness, she's so cute. Girl, she is so grown. You can't tell her nothing. Oh,
that's
okay.
That's fine.
You know what I mean? Like, if we think about it, when we think about the personas that we've taken on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's very much created and instilled in, man, I tell my friends all the time, I have friends that I literally get on their nerves because I am so literal with the words. And like, I hear you say something about your kid and I'm like, don't say that. Don't say that. Like, say this instead. And it's just kind of like, I don't have kids, so I'm not trying to tell you I know everything. It's not about that. I'm just saying, you should watch what you say, because that's what
it comes to
life.
Words create worlds.
I love that.
And you have to be careful. Worlds. You got to be careful what you speak out there, because it comes to life. It manifests. Definitely manifests. So, another thing that a lot of people in the Black community too, they won't open up and share a lot of stuff that they've been through and traumatic experience, because we as a culture, most of us grew up in the church. Oh, just pray about it. I'm all for praying. I'm all for that. But it's okay to seek professional help too.
It's okay to seek professional help, and it's okay to not feel okay in the current moment.
Right.
It's not okay to let that moment last too long. right? And every person's too long is different.
Right.
But absolutely, I think professional help, and we're hearing it so much more these days, and I wonder how many people are truly like seeking that professional help on a consistent basis, not just when you have a blow up and you talk.
Commercial break pause with Concrete and Blossom Podcast. What up, everyone? It's Dawn the Dog, creator and host of Concrete and Blossom Podcast. And if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's everything you need in one place. It's free. You record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will then distribute it for you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Make money with no minimum listenership required. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And don't forget to subscribe to Concrete and Blossom Podcast on all listening platforms.
Somebody get it off your chest, and now you feel like everything's okay. But no, really unpacking some of those childhood traumas, even adult traumas, even just day-to-day things that you're feeling and going through as you don't address them because they can feel subconscious, right? Just because we're not thinking about them. We're not thinking about, the strain on this relationship over here when you're cleaning out your restroom, and you're not thinking about, not being able to go back to work anytime soon whenever you are at the family barbecue but it doesn't mean that those issues are not there.
Right.
And so with them not being addressed just in how we live day to day, like that professional help is so important.
And it's helpful. I go to therapy and dealing with a lot of things that I've been through. Going helped me a lot. It did. It made me see things in a different way. And I was like, oh, the healing is messy. Healing is messy. It's not all rainbows and stars. Sometimes the healing hurts more than the actual hurt because you got to think back like, hey, like I went through that. Why did I go through that? Oh, this is why. Because I didn't create enough boundaries, or I wasn't, I was naive or whatever. But it does. Black people, it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to talk about it.
Sometimes I think that a lot of Black people don't truly maybe understand what therapy is. I think they feel like it's where they sit there on a couch and somebody with a notepad is sitting across writing all these notes, just looking at them and then trying to tell them why they shouldn't feel a certain way or why feeling that way is causing this, or why feeling that way is this or wrong or whatever, or maybe even just to validate those feelings. Whereas typically it's someone taking notes of what you said so they can give you inquiry-based learning for yourself. Inquiry-based meaning they're going to ask you questions. They're not going to help you figure out something that happened 10 years ago and why it happened. They may help you figure out the amount of who's and what's and when's and how's and where's and all of that, the roots of it, the facts of it, because the why is not fact-based. That's something I learned in my therapy. Shout out to my therapist out there. We'll leave her name out for now until I find out if I can put it on here, and then I'll come back and edit it in just in case. But if not, shout out to my counselor. She's amazing. I will actually be posting her information as well as a few other therapists that are referred, to our show and through our show in the description. So make sure you check it out. But yeah, I mean, I think that people think that therapy is gonna be this like kind of what they see in the movies, and it's the furthest from that. It's like where you give your whole spiel and then they ask you one question and your whole mind flip and you start crying because you just like, it's a whole different emotion that you never felt with that situation, right? And it's kind of weird.
And you're safe to actually express because it's a non-biased thing. It's somebody from the outside looking in,
right?
So it's like, oh, okay. So it's important, but
they don't have a dog in any of your fights. So they are very good. They don't have a reason to, in any story, go against you just for the hell of it. And, you know, a lot of times in therapy, even though you're telling your actions from your side of it, they only have your side of it, but it's still, they're able to give you the space to express those emotions and just not leave you there hanging.
Mm-hmm.
So I want the stigma of Black people, especially Black men, I think, because I feel like men are supposed to be our leaders.
Yes.
You know, that's just my firm belief.
Absolutely.
I've had to learn as a woman, you know, how to reel it in, for lack of better words, whatever you want to call it. You know, feminists may say, why should you reel it in? Whatever word you want to put on it, what I mean is I've learned what I feel is my place. Not based on what somebody told me, not based on what I saw in movies, not based on anything else, but besides what I feel from the doctrine that I've studied, what I felt in the sensuality practices that I studied, the meditation, everything has led me to wanting to change certain things to become more feminine, ladylike, woman, softer, stronger.
Yes. Yes.
And sometimes even in that, become more masculine too, because I've had to acknowledge that, so that way I only pull it out at certain times. But that means when I do pull it out, it needs to be like on point, not running rampant, because then you just gonna seem like this bitter Black, mad, angry Black woman. Right.
Balance. I'm learning that too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that too. And knowing your place as a woman, because for me, you know, I grew up in a single parent home. So it was kind of like I seen the duality.
Yeah. But
now I'm learning, you know, some in my 30s. So I wish I would have known this 10 years ago. But I'm learning that it's femininity is definitely an art. And sometimes you have to learn. You have to learn it. Just because you dress in dresses don't mean that you're feminine.
Man, say that again. Man, say that
don't mean that you're feminine.
Right. And honestly, just because you speak softly doesn't mean that you're feminine, sis. You know? And I think I just go for that. No pun intended to all my soft-spoken women, because as you can tell, you're very soft-spoken. But just, you know, for me, that's easy because I've always been told how loud I am, how aggressive I come off whenever I'm just talking about something. It's typically because whenever I speak, I'm going to speak from the full of me. Any conversation that I'm going to engage in, it might not have clicked in my head that maybe this is just a dumbass conversation I probably shouldn't even be having with you anyway. But if I'm engaging it with you, it's probably going to be from my whole fullness. You know what I'm saying? So it just sounds passionate. I mean, some people call it aggressive. I call it powerful now, but it took me a time to get there. So in finding that femininity, it takes like a lot of unlearning too. Yeah. I had to unlearn that aggressive word. First of all, I'm not aggressive just because I'm saying it in a way that doesn't stroke or soothe you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the time? I got to stroke and soothe you? What are you, a cat? What is going on? You know what I mean? Like,
even me being soft-spoken, I have to go, wait a minute now.
Right.
That it got to come out like, wait a minute, you got to go.
Right. Every now and then, it has to, right.
I'll let you know real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But doing the work, though, is it's definitely, it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Because you have to go back and face those things that you ran from or running from.
It's definitely a lot to unpack whenever you're trying to create balance in multiple areas of your life. I think that a lot of times, again, it has to be okay. We have to start finding it more okay to just say, like, I'm not okay. Excuse me, but then even identify where you're not okay. Because just because I'm not okay with my family right now, that don't have nothing to do with my job. You know what I'm saying? Like, my job could be going fantastic. Just because I don't like what's going on with my school district right now, as far as probably making teachers come back to work, I'm not okay with that. That has me really on edge. I really am uneasy about it. I don't like it. Like, it it gives me anxiety, honestly, having to think about going into a building with that many people in it every day, like it does, right? But that I'm not okay in that area. But right now I'm doing okay in the Little Love Life area. You know, got a guy. I hope I think you like me. You know, so that's good. Okay. Balance. You know, you gotta find a balance. But being able to say that, hey, this area is not okay.
Yeah.
Hey, but this area really is okay. So let me find a balance there. Whether that be, okay, do you have anything for work that you could just pick up real quick and take a look at that'll kind of get your mind off of what's not okay? Or even what's not okay, is it something that you can address right now, come to some type of resolving solution that would alleviate whatever that uncomfortable emotion is, right? Even being able to address it like right now, if you can, do so. But don't not be okay for a month behind the same issue that you have truly not done anything. Because I think a lot of times us as Black people, we convince ourselves that we're making changes in progress when
you're stuck in a rut.
It's like we find a way to look busy cleaning up the desk, but don't nothing get put away. You know, if you think about it, like in an office when you're cleaning up at the end of the day and you're just moving stuff around, instead of actually moving the papers, you just stack them up. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're not really cleaning off your desk. It's same kind of thing.
Yeah, that's deep. But it's true though. It's true. Well,
balance. Balance is the key.
My life right now is like, it's great that you don't have a child. But I have a child that I have to raise. I am trying to build my brand, run a business, because I have a business. Shout out to From the Heart Entertainment.
From the Heart Entertainment, shout out. Yes, you can find the links in the description.
Yes, the owner. Yes. So, and I am trying to unlearn things and heal from things and grow as a woman and find myself again after motherhood. Because a lot of us get caught, we lose ourselves in just being mommy. But now I'm like, okay, the balance where it comes in, and I have to like draw back to, okay, wait, before there was a kid, there was Janice, and Janice was this.
Right.
So I'm back to this, but even more, polished,
Right.
And then, so I'm juggling a lot, and then still working my 9 to 5, which gotta pay the bills until things, come forth. So it's like, it will be nice to have a boo. I don't have one of those.
Y'all hear that? Any male listeners listening to this particular episode,
you gotta come on
she
with it.
Is single. You gotta come with it. She has set her bar really high.
I am,
but she is single. I'm ready to mingle. Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, I don't know about Dallas. They're different out here.
Yeah, they are. They are
very different.
That's another one.
I've had experiences. I was like, wow, this is
different type of time.
The South is different. It's very. I've been here, there, and everywhere, so I can tell you, like, it's totally different. Even the mindset, the women are different out here. The mentality is very different out here. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's different.
It's way different, right?
So sometimes it's hard for me to really fit in because I'm not from here. I don't know the culture like that. And I'm a different type of person. So some people may.
What's been one of your pet peeves when it comes to when you meet guys in and from Dallas that's so different?
The men out here play a lot of games. They play a lot of games. And they want you to chase them. Yeah. And I'm not going to chase you. I am a woman. You come after me, baby. You come after me because I know what I bring to the table. I'm not going to sit here and chase a dude. I'm not.
Yeah.
just not going to do it. But I see that women chase men out here too, and I'm like, hey, whatever floats your boat. I'm not doing that.
Right.
And maybe that's why I'm single. But I'm not about to change. I'm not about to take care of no man either.
Yeah.
I see that a lot happening here too. And that happens everywhere. A lot of women have settled.
What does that look like? Because I think that's, for me, sometimes I would say what I'm looking to bring to the table in a relationship, and what I feel like is, what makes me valuable somewhat in a relationship. Most people would say, oh, that's just basic stuff. But to me, that's what taking care of a man is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, just as far as like literally the catering to, the support. So it's not putting my stuff on the back burner to make sure that his stuff is, I'm talking about tip top, because he is the head. So I need his shit to be immaculate.
When I say taking care of a man, I'm not saying, this is what I'm talking to. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about bringing a man in, paying the bills, working, doing the things a man is supposed to do, operating in a masculine energy where he's supposed to be the head, taking care of home. I'm not saying that he got, just slave and, take every responsibility, but you're the man, you're the provider, you're the head of the household. So since you're taking care of business, I'm gonna play my part and make sure you're good.
Right.
So
what about those households? Because obviously we're just talking about what we would want for ourselves.
Yeah, everybody's
But what about the households where you have more like, not even necessarily stay-at-home dads, but they take on more of the at-home role because the wife has such a great career, and they are good in their career, they're great in their career or whatever their job, because we like to differentiate between jobs and careers, right? But is that necessarily taking care of a man, or is that you all having identified gender roles that just works for y'all? If that makes sense.
In that sense, I think that is the latter.
Right.
Because it's one thing if you're at home, you take care of things, and your wife is taking care of things too. And in her,
it's more about pulling the heaviest weight should always be on the man. So if you stay at home, or if your job is not as good, you then have to find that weight to pull from other places. And as men, they kind of just got to step up and realize, you might, if you aren't the, and it is what it is, fellas. Like, yes, I will be the first to say, I want to get with somebody financially stable. So if I wanted to be an at-home wife, I could. Because there's other ways I'm still going to support him in his business and make sure that his bag is secured. Not just for him, but yes, for me.
Yeah.
Right.
And the family.
Right. So, again, it's like, all right, fellas, since that's such a problem, I'm going to go be the breadwinner, but this is what I need instead. You know what I'm saying?
Now
it's not a conversation. No. Now it's,
And then some women are like, he just gotta have money and take care of me, and I don't want to work. He gotta spoil me. It don't work that way. What are you doing? Because when my man comes, when he does come, it's
like I'm his personal assistant first and foremost. They need that,
right?
Because they not organized.
They're logical. We're emotional, and we could see things better than they can. In some senses, it's the backbone. It's the backbone. We the neck, so it's like, and we the heart. So we could see things that they may miss and say, hey, babe, maybe you should do this instead of that. Or I don't know about that person that you're teaming up with. Maybe you should rethink on that. The woman's role is very powerful. And a lot of times us women, we devalue ourselves because we're operating in a manly energy. And it's not, manly because I have a deep voice and I'm wearing baggy jeans. No, just the energy of it. I mean, I don't know how to really explain it.
No, you explained it perfectly. Right? Yeah. Yes, you explained it perfectly.
Yeah, so I mean, it all, it's different. And Southern women are different too.
Yeah. I think sometimes women, we are a little bit unable to operate in that feminine energy because or for our mate particularly, as far as like that being that backbone and seeing what the true needs are of that person, of that man, because we're too busy trying to have that equal playing ground on so many other levels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, granted, if it's two people fresh out from school and they both have the same credentials, should a man and a woman get paid the same? Yeah, absolutely. But when it comes to, again, like the household, does the man and the woman have to make the same? No, they don't. But don't then get mad whenever you come across women like us that's like, nah, your bag needs to be all the way together because that's something on the list that I need. And it's high on the list. Right. It's high on the list. It's like,
if I'm eating filet mignon and shrimp and crab legs and going shopping on my own and smiling and happy on my own by myself, you need to come on with it. Mm-hmm. You need to come on. I've settled before. Yeah. I'm not doing that no more.
Your absence your presence has to mean more than your absence. Like, I have to feel your absence, if that makes sense. Because a lot of times guys can be doing all this stuff, but you got so many other distractions, you don't really notice that he's not really there. He's just doing stuff.
Right.
And you really got all this stuff going on because you can do it for yourself anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I don't want to have to do it for myself. I want that help made too. Sometimes I just want to pick my feet up and go to the massage parlor. I'm going to do that regardless, but I know after I leave that massage, I got to go handle this and handle that. Sometimes I just want my man to take that load and just go enjoy the rest of your day, baby. You know, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. You know, but some people say my standards are too high. No.
Not at all.
No. I'm in my 30s. Right. I'm in my mid-30s. I don't got time to be compromising things. And I have a kid. A young black boy, too. Mm-hmm. I can't half step on certain things, especially a man.
And the thing is like, it really sucks because I just feel like just because you don't want to or are unable to provide what I want, be what I want, give what I want, whatever, that doesn't mean that my standards are too high. That doesn't mean that I'm doing the most. It doesn't mean anything except that you probably aren't the one for me.
And that's okay.
I
need a asset, not a liability. Mm-hmm. And a lot of men say the same thing. Hey, women expect that too. So, yes, I'm single.
Yes.
And I'm waiting. I'm a wait. I'm a wait on God. I'm a wait on that Most High to send him my way this time. I did it on my own so many times and just didn't work out, and operating out of lustful things and loneliness. I had spoke on loneliness not too long ago, how it keeps us bonded to things and people because we're lonely. And a lot of times you think that somebody's for you or you're really friends with somebody, but you just bonded by loneliness. So, we got something in common. Oh, but we're both lonely. Let's smoke together. Let's do it. You know, he's my soulmate. No, he's not your soulmate. Y'all was lonely and y'all have something in common. And
you know what? Cool. And that, I want to put a pin in that in itself because
that's a whole
right. That's a podcast. I'm just about to say I'm gonna wrap this one up with that in itself because that is officially, you know, an open invitation for us to just talk about that, the learning how to be alone without being lonely part.
Yeah.
You know, and because that goes for friendships too.
Oh yeah.
When you a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You got a little extra time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we can definitely get into it. Thank you for recording with me.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure and honor.
Yeah.
I could talk to you all day.
We can talk all day, all night.
So listen, listeners, you've heard it on many of our episodes. Mental health, therapy, being okay, and sometimes not, is hella important. Setting healthy boundaries and living on purpose and truth. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and leave a legacy behind that matters. Not now, but right now, go subscribe, follow, like, and share Concrete and Blossom Podcast and our guest host, Janice Owens, on all social media platforms. You can find her on IG at Niecy Rice. That's NIECEYWRITES. You can find us on all social media and listening platforms at Concrete and Blossom Podcast. See and click links below or any bolded words throughout our episode description. Dawn the Doll delivers.